All right, my friends, we are now live. I wanted to update you on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. As of the making of this video, the jury has been deliberating 11 hours and 24 minutes. We are all on a verdict watch to see exactly what's going to transpire. If you like to tune in about an hour, I'm going to have a live feed on this particular channel, and I got some thoughts and some observations that I want to share with everybody. I did come across an article in Kiplinger.com that really caught my attention. It caught my attention because the author, a Mr. John M. Gorelka, who is a practicing attorney, made the point in this article that, gee, I wonder if Johnny Depp and Amber Heard would have been helped. Could all this have been avoided if they had simply had a prenuptial agreement combined with what's called a confidentiality agreement? You may have heard it as called a, what do they call it, a non-disclosure agreement, an NDR. You see those generally relating to politicians. They can also be a great benefit when it comes to couples that are in the public eye. Obviously, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are in the public eye, and they are in a mess. Absolute mess that's going on right now. So, at any rate, in this article, let's go through it real quick. I just got a few points I want to make. What if Johnny Depp and Amber Heard had a premarital agreement, a.k.a. a prenup? Some people call it a antenuptial agreement, whatever. It says, all the gritty details we're learning from the latest court battle between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. This unfortunate airing of dirty laundry may have been avoided with a prenup. Should you think about getting one yourself? I wonder. We observed the very public $50 million defamation lawsuit between Johnny Depp that he brought against his ex-wife, Amber Heard. We realize that this all seems to be related or carried over from their very public divorce proceedings. I agree with that. This seems to be just the latest forum for them to have a fight. It's just another chapter in their sick relationship. It goes on, the couple were married without the benefit of a prenup in 2015 after meeting in 2011 on the film set for The Rum Diary. I've never seen that movie, but I did hear that they were rather passionate on screen. You could see the good chemistry they had at the time. They split up when Heard filed for divorce in 2016. That divorce was final in 2017, but it certainly did not end their legal batters, no doubt. At the time of the divorce, Depp's net worth was estimated to be more than 18 times larger than Heard's. She initially sought $50,000 per month in spousal support to maintain her marital lifestyle. Ouch! The property settlement provided for Depp to pay her $7 million. Heard declared she would donate the divorce proceeds to charity, so Depp paid a portion of the divorce settlement to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles and the ACLU. Heard's attorney then demanded that Depp donate $14 million to charity to reflect the net payment of the $7 million for Depp after the projected $7 million in tax savings from the charitable contribution deduction. Boy, these people have hated each other from day one of their split, and it has only got nastier. Ouch. Amber and Johnny's dispute still rages now. 5 years after the divorce was final in 2017, note that the marriage itself only lasted 16 months, yet it appears to have inspired 6 years of litigation and controversy. Wow. The couple are currently back in court, with Depp suing over an op-ed Heard wrote in 2018 alleging she was the victim of domestic violence. Actually, I would just add to that, not that I disagree with that, but specifically, Heard has accused Johnny Depp of actually sexual violence, not even just the run-of-the-mill domestic violence. The op-ed says, opinion, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. This has to change. So, a little bit of splitting the words there, but I do think it is a big difference and something that we should note. I also wanted to mention to you, think about this. I did some quick math. These individuals were married at best for a total of 6 months. She received a $7 million payout. So if you figure they were together 480 days, she was awarded $437,500 a month or she made $14,583.33 for each day they were married. Imagine that. $14,583.33 for each day they were married. That's not a bad day. It's not a bad payday for Amber Heard, and it shows how come a prenuptial agreement is so important. Even if you don't think you have a lot of money, things change. You need to heavily consider a premarital agreement. If you have not watched my previous videos concerning this subject, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you need to watch the videos. I have went into this in depth, and I will continue to talk about this particular subject on my channel. So, how could a prenup have helped? A premarital agreement could have made a world of difference. It would have almost certainly have protected Depp from such a sizable financial settlement for a 16-month marriage as we just talked about. A prenuptial agreement may have even protected Johnny Depp from today's very public litigation, as the use of a confidentiality agreement in conjunction with the premarital agreement may have prevented this ongoing public arguments, accusation, and bickering. It stands without such protections. We can all read about and watch videos of Depp's testimony on the news and online. How could a prenup have protected her? The confidentiality agreement may have minimized some of the very public discussions of her problems. No doubt. Can you imagine being one of these two? Every single thing in your relationship, in your life, is laid out for all to bear. Just extremely embarrassing. A prenuptial agreement may have protected specific assets owned or income earned by Heard from being characterized as community property or being included in the determination of the final settlement amount. These are all good points this author is making. Divorce is emotionally charged and often involves many issues beyond just the financial settlement. We have all heard stories or even observed instances where cars, artwork, or even houses are destroyed or sold at garage sale prices to prevent the asset from going to the ex-spouse. These decisions are often made for the reasons that defy logic and common sense. Establishing boundaries for divorce may help prevent greater financial or emotional pain later. This is spot on. This author is exactly correct. How many times have you seen very wealthy people that took a lifetime together to build large amounts of assets, large amounts of money, and at the end of the day, the attorneys get the money because they fight, and they fight over every little thing. They fight over carpets. They fight over couches. Just the stupidest, ludicrous type of behavior you can imagine, and the attorneys win at the end of the day. And generally speaking, I'm not necessarily an attorney's friend. I'm not necessarily pro-attorneys. But you can't really blame attorneys for carrying out the instructions of their clients. Their clients want to fight, and sometimes you just have to let them fight. And if the attorneys have to take the money as a result, well, they have no one to blame but themselves. A TV star's prenup made for smooth sailing. So he is going to draw a contrast between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and another couple. Let's contrast Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's divorce with the actor, and I hope I say her name right, Kaylee Cuoco, and professional tennis player Ryan Sweeting's divorce. The Cuoco was a star on the hit television show The Big Bang Theory in 2015. She currently stars in the series The Flight Attendant. At the time of her divorce, Forbes magazine named her as TV's highest paid actress, tied with Sofia Vergara in 2015. She received $28.5 million in earnings that year, including a salary equal to $1 million per episode. Her husband, on the other hand, had an estimated net worth of just a measly $2 million. That's kind of almost like he's poor, right? After $42 million less than his wife's net worth, as reported by Forbes. All right, unlike Depp and Heard, this particular couple signed a prenuptial agreement approximately 1 month before their wedding. As a side note, I would never recommend that you sign a prenup so close to your wedding. It could potentially cause problems down the road. One partner, one spouse could potentially petition a court and say they were under duress at the time that they signed the premarital agreement, especially when it's so close to the wedding service itself. My personal recommendation is that you put as much time between signing the prenuptial agreement and actually having the wedding itself. My recommendation, 1 year minimum. Just my recommendation. Let's call that J.R. Duke's theory. It's only my recommendation. All right. It goes on. The couple separated in 2015 after 21-month marriage. The binding prenup provided this young lady with her assets and her income. The premarital agreement also provided protection from claims for greater child support, or rather greater support or additional assets beyond the level of the agreed amount. Premarital assets are an important tool to avoid drawn-out financial, emotional battles, such as battles over spousal support when a marriage fails. We all know for sure whether such an agreement would have, scratch it, we could never know for sure whether such an agreement would have prevented 6 years of litigation between Depp and Heard. However, such an agreement would have significantly limited the areas of it would have significantly limited the areas that they could basically fight about or have in dispute. Some of the more emotionally charged claims, such as demand for child support in the amount of $50,000 per month by Heard, may have been avoided. Depp and Heard's situation further underscores the value of combining a confidentiality agreement with a premarital agreement. Again, I wholeheartedly agree with this author. He goes on, in conclusion, he says, should you consider a prenup? Premarital agreements and confidentiality agreements are particularly important for the following people before they get married: those with children from a prior relationship, older couples, people getting married with significant assets prior to marriage, people or public figures seeking to keep such matters private, and people seeking to protect their partner from his or her debts and liabilities. A lot of times an individual may go into business, and a business is not risk-free. Even if you have a corporation or LLC, your partner can have personal liability. Pretend that the LLC or the corporate shield had been pierced. The spouse could have liability, and if you're married without a prenuptial agreement, your spouse could potentially be held liable for your debt. It depends on the type of debt. It depends on your state. Depends on your state law. Again, I always would recommend a prenuptial agreement and combine it with a confidentiality agreement. I think it would have made a great difference in this particular case. So that was, this article is found on Kiplinger.com. I love this particular magazine. I read it all the time, specifically their online edition, and the article was written by John M. Gordalka. If I misplaced your name, I'm sorry, John. I am not really good with names. At any rate, I think the takeaway that you can have for your life is, if you're considering getting married, my folks, my friends, my people, please negotiate prior to your wedding the need, the necessity, hammer out a premarital agreement. It is very important. I agree with this author that you should combine it with a confidentiality agreement. It cannot harm you. It can only help you. It is so important, especially nowadays, that you hammer these things out before you get married. You don't want to work for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years only to have your entire financial empire, if you will, come crumbling down because of a divorce. A lot of times I talk about asset protection on my channel. I talk about risk involving police and the law, all kinds of different subjects that can be a threat to you. And in reality, the most serious threat you face to your financial well-being is a divorce. The enemy within. And I hate to say it that way, but it's absolutely true. You have to consider the high likelihood that you can end up in a situation where you will need a prenuptial agreement. I definitely think you should consider it. As always, if you need to reach me, my email address is always available. Just send me an email at reachjrdukes@gmail.com. That is reachjrdukes@gmail.com. I am always here to help you. That's the reason why I make these videos. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want you to always remember to have that free mind and never give up, my friends. I am J.R. Dukes.